Hey there, it's me, Sarah, just a 31-year-old from Raleigh, North Carolina, spilling my heart out like I'm sitting across from you at a coffee shop. If you'd asked me a few years ago whether I had big dreams, I'd have grinned and told you I wanted to be a singer. Picture me standing on a stage, the kind at the Cat's Cradle, pouring my soul into every note, the crowd hanging on my every word. But life has a way of pulling the rug out from under you, doesn't it? After college, those dreams got tucked away, replaced by a steady gig as a credit officer at a local bank. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and chipped away at my student loans. Stable, safe, predictable, until I met Jake. It was at a college reunion party, one of those backyard barbecues with string lights and too much cheap beer. My friend Emma hosted, and she paired me with Jake for a goofy celebrity guessing game. He had this easy laugh, like he could make the whole room lighter, and a way of talking that made you feel seen. We bonded over dreams we'd both shelved, mine for music, his for dance. He'd been part of a college dance crew, all hip-hop and heart, but traded it for a business degree to please his family. I got it. We got each other. A few weeks later, we were dating, and it felt like the start of something real. My mom was already dropping hints about grandkids, and though I wasn't ready to settle down, Jake's charm wore me down. Outdoor dinners at the Raleigh Times, surprise gifts like a new pair of earbuds, because he knew I still hummed while doing dishes. It was like a rom-com montage. A year later, we were married. I quit my bank job to focus on building our life together. Jake worked at a financial consulting firm in Charlotte, pulling in a solid income, and he told me I deserved a break after grinding for years. I believed him. I believed in us, but then I met his family, and the cracks started to show. Jake's younger sister, Emily, was 3 years younger than us. His parents, especially his mom, Linda, always said Emily had nerve damage from a bad fever when she was 8. They painted this picture of her as fragile, confined to a wheelchair, unable to speak. My heart broke for her at first, imagining a young woman trapped in her body, dependent on everyone else. But when I met Emily, she wasn't what I expected. She wasn't sad or broken. She communicated through a letterboard and sketches, her eyes bright with life, her smile warm. One afternoon, sitting on their back porch, I traced a musical note in the air, and Emily drew a heart on her pad. I laughed, signing, "You get me?" She nodded, her eyes sparkling, like we'd just shared a secret handshake. If Emily was a quiet light, Linda was a storm waiting to strike. She had this way of looking at me, like I was a clearance rack dress she wasn't sure she wanted to keep. Every visit to their house felt like a pop quiz I hadn't studied for. "Don't leave Jake's shoes lying around like that," she'd snap. "It makes him look unemployed. And if he looks like that, who's going to respect his wife?" I'd force a smile, shove the shoes in the closet, and bite my tongue. Linda's house had rules. Towels folded left to right, laundry hung by color. I'm no slouch when it comes to keeping things tidy, but her perfectionism made me feel like I was shrinking. To her, Jake was still her little boy, and I was the outsider who'd never measure up. We lived in a small apartment, a 20-minute drive from Jake's parents' place in Cary. Somehow, Linda always knew when I was alone. She'd call with suggestions or show up with groceries and a list of ways I could improve. I thought marriage meant building a home with Jake, but it felt more like I'd walked into a family with an unspoken pecking order, where my job was to please the queen bee. My sacrifices, quitting my job, putting my dreams on hold, were just expected, like checking a box. But Emily, she changed everything. I don't know exactly when things started to shift. Maybe it was a few months after our first anniversary, when Jake stopped smiling at the coffee I handed him each morning, or when he stopped texting to check if I'd eaten lunch. The little gestures that made me feel loved just vanished. He started coming home late, blaming work, long meetings, urgent documents. I'd sit at our kitchen table, staring at a cold plate of pasta, telling myself he was just busy. But the distance grew. When I asked questions, he dodged. When I stayed quiet, he didn't notice. I felt like a ghost in my own marriage. That's when I started spending more time with Emily. Linda didn't like it, but I didn't care. Emily would be waiting by the window, her sketch pad filled with drawings, little houses, cats in goofy hats, kites soaring. Her art showed a spirit that was sharp, vibrant, alive, nothing like the helpless girl her family described. I started teaching myself sign language at night, while Jake was asleep or glued to his laptop. At first, it was just basics, hello, thank you, but soon it became a lifeline. Signing with Emily felt like stepping out of a cold, judgmental world into one where I could breathe. Linda's words stung less when I was with her. I don't understand why Jake chose someone like you, Linda said once after I didn't help Emily organize her room. I didn't answer, not because I was weak, but because silence was my shield. One fall evening, with the leaves turning gold outside, I brought a tray of homemade pumpkin bars to Jake's parents' house. Emily loved them, and I wanted to surprise her. But when I walked in, I saw Jake in the living room, laughing with Linda in a way he hadn't with me in months. "You're here?" he asked, his tone flat, like I was an uninvited guest. "I made these for Emily," I said, setting the tray down. Linda cut in, her voice dripping with fake warmth. "Family can come by any time." But her eyes said I wasn't family. Emily was by the window, hugging a blue pillow, no sketchpad in sight. Her eyes met mine, slow and searching, like she was asking, "You okay?" I signed, "I'm fine," but my hand shook. That night, back home, I confronted Jake. "Is there something you're not telling me?" He flinched, then sighed, staring at the floor. "It's just work, Sarah. Don't overthink it." But I wasn't overthinking. I knew something was wrong. 3 weeks later, Jake dropped a bomb. Over breakfast, he asked, "Got any plans next week?" His voice was cautious, like he was stepping around broken glass. My heart sped up. "No, why?" He hesitated, then said, "My family's taking a trip to Hawaii. Me, ma, dad." My stomach sank. Hawaii was supposed to be our trip, planned for our second anniversary. "What about me?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He avoided my eyes. "It's just a family trip, but we need you to stay and take care of Emily." I froze. "Take care of Emily? Why not bring her?" Jake sighed. "Mom says it's too hard for her to travel, and you're close to her, right?" Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. Linda walked in, her expression as cold as ever. "Jake explained everything, I assume," she said, daring me to argue. I swallowed my anger, forced a smile, and said, "No objections. I'll take care of Emily." Linda nodded, satisfied. Jake whispered, "I'm sorry, Sarah." But his words felt hollow. He'd made his choice long before asking me. That afternoon, I went to see Emily. Her eyes lit up when I walked in. I signed, "I'm staying with you for a few days, okay?" She blinked, then signed back, "They left you behind again." Her words hit like a punch. I nodded, not hiding it anymore. "Yeah, they went to Hawaii." Emily's hands moved fast, her eyes glinting. "We have plans too. They'll be surprised." I stared, stunned. She just smiled, a spark in her eyes I'd never seen before. That's when I knew. Emily wasn't just the quiet sister-in-law. She was about to blow the lid off this family's secrets. The next morning, I pulled open the curtains at Jake's parents' house. Sunlight spilled in, softening the sterile space. Linda's rules, her sharp voice, her judgment, were gone, at least for now. I brought Emily a cup of vanilla coffee, her favorite. She was gazing at the lavender bush outside when I knocked. Then everything changed. She pushed herself up, stood, and walked toward me. My jaw dropped. "Emily, what are you doing?" She laughed, soft but steady, and spoke. "Calm down, don't freak out." I nearly dropped the coffee. "You can talk? You can walk?" She nodded. I never lost the ability. It was an act, to protect myself. My head spun as she explained. She was Jake's half-sister, from his dad's first marriage. After her dad died, Linda took control, treating her like a burden. When Emily had a fever at 10, Linda delayed getting her help and spread lies about brain damage. Emily played along, staying weak to stay free. "You saw me as a person," she said, "not a chore." "Why tell me now?" I asked. She pulled a suitcase from the closet. "Because we're going on a trip. You didn't think I'd let them have all the fun in Hawaii, did you?" My jaw hit the floor. "You're going to Hawaii?" She nodded. "And you're coming. Dad left me money. I saved it for this moment." She looked at me, serious. "You need to see who Jake and Linda really are." I took a deep breath. For the first time in months, I felt chosen. If you're ready, I'm ready, I said. And just like that, we were off. Not just to Hawaii, but toward the truth. The flight to Honolulu was a blur. Emily, in jeans and sunglasses, looked like any confident traveler. She grinned at me, like we were pulling off the heist of the century. At the resort in Waikiki, she handed me a room key, everything prepaid. Dad left me enough to live for myself, she said. That night, she showed me a restaurant reservation, 7 p.m., poolside, where Jake's family would be at 6. They don't know we're here, she said. We'll surprise them. At 6 p.m., we dressed up, Emily in an emerald byakin, me in a navy dress, and headed to the restaurant. From behind a row of palm trees, we watched. Jake was there, laughing, his arm around a polished woman I'd never seen. Linda raised her wine glass, beaming. No guilt, no shame. Emily slipped me an earpiece connected to a recorder she'd hidden under their table. I listened, my blood running cold. Linda's voice. She's never been anything special. Hasn't done a thing for this family. Jake. I'll say she's emotionally neglectful. My lawyer says I won't have to give her a dime. I ripped out the earpiece, my hands shaking. Emily squeezed my arm. Ready? I nodded, a cold smile forming. We stepped out, walking straight to their table. Jake saw me first, his face paling. Linda froze, her wine glass trembling. Good evening, and I said, my voice steady. Hope you're enjoying dinner. Sarah, what are you doing here? Jake stammered. Before I could answer, Emily stepped forward and sat down, her walk confident. You're walking? Linda gasped. Emily's voice was ice. I've been walking and talking, just fine. You liked seeing me as a burden, so I played along. I hit play on the recording, their voices spilling out for everyone to hear. Diners turned, staring. Jake stood, furious. You're trying to humiliate me? You've been humiliating me for a year, I shot back. I've got proof, and my lawyer's ready. I turned to the woman next to him. You might want a lawyer too. We walked away, leaving their lies exposed. Jake chased us, shouting, but security escorted him out. Linda sat silent, her control shattered. Back in Raleigh, I hired a lawyer, Marilyn Carter. With Emily's help, hotel bills, photos, messages, we built a case. A month later, Jake was ordered to split assets and pay spousal support. The other woman faced an alienation of affection suit. When the first payment hit my account, I didn't feel victory, just relief. I'd reclaimed my voice. Now I live in a top-floor apartment overlooking Pullen Park. I'm an independent financial consultant, choosing work I love, saying no to anyone who disrespects me. Emily's in Asheville, studying graphic design, living her truth. We're not just sisters-in-law, we're survivors. One day, Jake and Linda showed up at my door, broken, asking for help. I lost my job, Jake said. Malene left me. Linda, eyes red, mumbled, I was wrong. I looked at them, calm. I begged for kindness once. Now I set boundaries. You don't get to cross them. I closed the door, sprinkled sea salt along the threshold, a symbol of letting go, and watched the sunset paint the sky orange. This isn't just the end of a marriage. It's the start of a life I chose. Strength isn't holding on, it's knowing when to walk away. If you're out there feeling stuck, I hope you find the courage to choose yourself. I did, and I've never felt freer.